We're now talking to Elon assistant baseball coach, Jerry Oaks. Jerry, what's up, man?
How you doing, guys?
We are good, man. Obviously, you're even better. You're no longer over there at Pitt. You're no longer a pitching coach. You're now an assistant coach. So you're moving on up to the east side, my friend. How are you? How's everything going over there with you and your family since COVID?
Everything's going great, man. I'm down here in Carolina. Family's still actually up in Pittsburgh, so can't complain though. Everybody's doing well.
You look happy. I mean, hopefully the baseball season is going pretty well for you. So why don't we get into it? Before we get into some Yankees, because I know you're a Yankee fan, as I am too. So I'm sure you have your own thoughts on this series against Houston and what the Yankees need to do as a coach. But how is the baseball team doing over there? What is the difference between Pitt and Elon?
Well, the weather, first off, right?
Yes, of course, yes.
I mean, there's not a lot of difference, to be totally honest with you. Obviously at Pitt, you're in the ACC, and the level of baseball is a little higher. But where we're located down here, right outside of Raleigh, within basically 60 miles, you got some of the best teams in the country. So, with that being said, obviously it's high level baseball. Our midweek games are against NC State, Wake Forest, Carolina, teams like that, and our league's getting tougher and tougher each year. So. It's a grind, obviously it's baseball in the South, so it's I would say just maybe more depth at the ACC level, than here. But other than that, it's not that much of a difference.
So what about the Carolina baseball culture as a whole? Because they don't have a major league team, but they have a lot of good minor league followings too. College baseball, Coastal Carolina won a College World Series back in 2016. So what has that been like? And also Elon on and off the field, what have those experiences been like?
Yeah, I was at Coastal Carolina for 4 years, so a little bit familiar of obviously this area. But anybody will tell you, it's like I said, you're in like baseball heaven down here. Like I said, you go basically an hour and a half, and you're playing top 20 teams every single week. Right, as a baseball coach, baseball player, it's everything you can literally ask for. You have everything you need here to play at a high level, and you're on a spotlight every single weekend. I tell recruits all the time, because of our location, there's so many scouts that live in this area because of such the high level talent, so you really can't ask for anything better, to be honest with you. Obviously warm weather and playing against the best. And obviously here at Elon, we have so much to offer. It's one of the top 100 universities. So, our kids get a phenomenal education, which is the most important thing. And, like I said, they're playing high-level baseball every single week.
We are talking to Elon assistant baseball coach Jerry Oaks. Now, when you look at, obviously, the recruiting, and you're over there in Pitt, ACC, very popular school for football, and you go down to Elon, which it's Carolina, it's warmer, so I'm sure a lot of people would like to go to warmer weather to play some baseball. What is it like to recruit over there? And do you have any players that were drafted? And are there any other players that you see coming up that you have recruited over the last couple of years or last year that you think could be major league type of players?
Yeah, I mean, we've had plenty of guys drafted here. We had, two guys last year. One guy went in the 7th round, another in the 20th round. Had a guy with the Phillies the year before. But in 2019, had George Kirby here. I'm sure you're familiar with Seattle Mariners.
Yeah,
he was first rounder here, and you see what he's doing in the big leagues. And that same year, we had, I think, about 3 or 4 more guys that are knocking on the big leagues. So, you hope in the next year or two you could have, 3 to 4 big leaguers that have been drafted within the last 3 years here. So. Like I said, it's most of our kids are from up north. Kids want to go play in warmer weather, right? So we have, like I said, I don't know how many we have right now that are playing pro baseball, but like I said, you could look up in about 3 years and see anywhere from 3 to 6 big leaguers that have come out of here recently. So it's a hotbed right now, man, and we hope we can continue that going. Obviously facility wise, we just got a brand new indoor facility, which is first class, and we got phase 2 coming, so pretty soon here it could be one of the nicest mid-majors in the country.
Yeah, Kirby pitched very well in the second half of that season for Seattle. A big part of why they made that playoffs. So that was
Yeah,
cool to
he's
see.
a stud, especially being a rookie.
Yeah.
So,
So we've seen a lot now in college sports with the transfer portal, and especially in football being very active, and a lot of other sports. Is that those same rules apply with baseball now? Is it all instant impact? And if so, how has that changed your style of your I guess coaching, but also the way you coach these players, new players coming in?
yeah, the whole portal thing has changed everything, right? It changes how we recruit in a lot of ways. There's positives to it and also a lot of negatives to it. We actually went portal heavy this past year, and we got a transfer from Vanderbilt, two from Wake Forest. We've also gone JUCO route, and we've had transfers the year before. So it's been good to us. I think a lot of these kids that obviously their dreams to go to Power Five, and then you get there and realize that it's probably not a place for me and not getting that playing time. So obviously, schools like us where we can pick those guys up and they get more playing time. And obviously, it's only going to help their career, right? To put them on the spotlight. So we're all trying to figure it out, to be honest with you. We're trying to figure this thing out on the fly. It's tough now, I would say, because, especially at our level, for instance, you get those mid-major guys that maybe they just blossom a little later on in their career, and now they take off, and now you got, the big guys trying to take those guys from you, so it's all hand in hand. But at the end of the day, I think when you build relationships and you do the right things, and build that culture the right way, you don't have to really worry about those type of things.
We are talking to Elon assistant baseball coach Jerry Oaks. By the way, happy belated birthday. You're 40 now, so am I. We hit
Right,
the
brother.
4-0. We're alive, man. I was very excited for that. I mean, over the last couple of years, with all the different things that are going on, not only COVID, but now you have the monkeypox and all the crazy stuff going on in the world. The fact that we're still alive and we're still kicking and we're moving on to our 40s, I'm very, very happy for that, and I'm sure you are too. How before we get into the MLB and the playoffs, how's your family doing? I mean, I know you have, I think, 2 kids, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, we got 5.
Oh
My
man,
wife Sasha.
you're
So
pushing them out, huh? Your wife's
yeah,
pushing them out.
yeah, I'm very lucky. My
Yes.
wife, she's a rock star, and we're a very close family. Got the 3 boys and 2 girls, and
Wow.
we're blessed. Like you said, this day and age, I say it all the time. If you would have talked to me a couple of years ago before we talked, you're stressing about this, stressing about that, and I learned the older I get, it's really not a big deal. Some of the things we stress about, right? So I take one day at a time, and big family guy, So it's to me that's what it's all about. And they're doing great. They're all playing. A lot of them are playing hockey now. So we got
Look at
one
you.
playing hockey, football, and I don't see them as much, which is always tough. But they're great. Like I said, my wife, she's the glue to everything. So we're very lucky.
Well, I'm happy for you. I don't have any kids yet, so I'm 40 years
You're a
old.
little behind the 8 ball.
I'm really behind the 8 ball, but you want to know something? I always thought of myself as an older father, and being that I'm in this industry and I'm pushing what I'm doing in this industry, it's usually a lot of these radio guys, they don't start pushing out and getting families until they're closer to 50 than they are in their 30s and their 20s. So it's really just because you're trying to build your career and trying to figure out what you're going to do and where you're going to be when you're ready to do that. So it's a very unique situation. So why don't we get into the MLB, the Yankees getting into the playoffs? The month of August was really horrific. A lot of people thought that the Yankees were going to fall apart. Tampa was playing good. The Blue Jays were playing good. And then a guy named Judge started to get really, really hot. Broke the American League record, hitting 62 home runs, led the league in RBIs in almost every offensive statistic, almost won the Triple Crown, was a fantastic season. And then getting into the playoffs and playing Cleveland. What were your thoughts before the series against Cleveland when Cleveland moved on from the wild card game? Did you think that the Yankees were a sure lock coming out of that divisional series?
No, not really, to be honest with you, because Cleveland can pitch. And as you know, it's about pitching and defense, right? That's what wins, and especially in the playoffs. I figured that series would go 5, Obviously, we know Yankees got a little more offense. I think that's what we all knew going into it Cleveland was going to struggle. But, man, when you get guys can pitch, as you know, it's anything can happen, that's for sure. And I think this one will be good. I was just watching. I'm a Phillies guy, so they're blowing it right now. But when you got 2, 3 horses, man, and they get hot at the right time, there's no telling. So
Their bullpen was due to have one of their classic Phillies bullpen debacles at some point. So get it out of the way now and save it for a game 6, game 7 to get their bullpen on track. So obviously, you being a college coach, you're used to the College World Series format, and they have a lot of the regionals and the buys too, the way it's set up. And now we're seeing it this year in baseball with American League, it stayed chalk. The National League, the Dodgers and Braves getting upset. Do you think this format will benefit the underdogs more long term? Do you think it'll level out more back to the favorites, or somewhere in between?
I think somewhere in between, right? I think it's funny, right? I feel like baseball, it's the same every year, right? You look at Ole Miss last year, right? They're basically out of it, and then boom, they get hot at the right time. I mean, look at the Phillies, right? They're fighting to get in, and now they got this thing rolling, and I think that's really in any sport, right? And I tell our guys all the time, it's all about how you finish, not how you start. I mean, you even look at the Yankees a little bit, right? They hit that wall, and everybody thinks it's like they can't win. They went over 100 games, and people are still all over them, But same thing, right? I think they're getting hot at the right time too, So it's contagious. That's before I think what people don't understand that aren't baseball people, you look at the Braves and Dodgers, I think especially in baseball in particular, but even like, hockey and stuff like that, when you have a long layoff like that, I think it hurts you more than helps you.
Oh, I agree with you. And everybody knows we are talking to Elon assistant baseball coach, Jerry Oaks. He was on our show a couple of years ago. If anybody don't remember that unbelievable conversation that we had, we found out we had the same birthday. We're born almost the same time, and we were at the same baseball game for the perfect game. I think it was the perfect game we were at. It was just crazy, and it's really unique when you I've met a lot of people with the same birthday as me, but just the way we had a conversation and how it just fell together was just like very unique and very weird, because we've interviewed football players, college football players that had the same birthday as me, and I wasn't surprised like I was with you. And we were talking, I was like, everything just aligned some way or another. But we're Tauruses, and that's you have that personality and that stubbornness. So that's how we roll. But I look at the Yankees right now, and what scares me about this series in particular, it's really not it's not the defense, it's not the pitching, it's not the bullpen, even though the bullpen is very much injured. They had 7 injuries going into the divisional game. Now they're getting 3 pitchers back. They're still 4 short. Chapman's done because he has a big mouth and he doesn't show up to workouts, but that's Chapman for you. What scares me is the offense. This is a team that's a power-hitting team. And they don't hit for average. And you saw in the Cleveland series, the Cleveland Guardians out-hit the Yankees throughout this series. I mean, in one game, they had 15 hits to the Yankees 5. And you can't win like that. And against Houston, if Houston out-hits you and they can out-pitch you, there's not a chance in hell the Yankees win this series. So if you were a coach or you were a manager on this Yankee team, and let's say you were Aaron Boone, what would you do to hype your players up to get better pitches or to walk in and make Verlander work, especially in game number 1?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. Honestly, you're talking about pitching coach, right? Like for me, offenses that are big, just power guys, they don't scare me. It's the offenses that can do a little of everything and have maybe 2 power guys, but the other guys are, average guys and grind you out at the plate, and I think you make a great point. Guys like Verlander, stuff like that, you got to make him work, and that might be you have to change your approach on the fly, as far as being able to take or certain guys, where I think, where guys become successful is, hey, these 2 guys, you're going to try to make him work. These guys are going to play small ball and then are boppers, right? Just in general, right? You're trying to get that pitch count out and hopefully you can get them out of the game earlier, if anything. I think if you're swinging right out of shoot and guys like that, benefiting them.